Welcome to the third installment of the Columbia RBML's curatorial shorts. Today we have Michelle Chesner with us, who is going to be giving a talk entitled Rolling Through India, Spain, North Africa, and Beyond, or Scrolls, They're Not Just for the Bible. Before I turn it over to Michelle, I also want to remind you to put on your calendar the next curatorial short, which will be April 26th at 4 p.m. And I will be talking with Bernadette Meyer about an RBML collection, the Samuel Oldnow papers, which are a fascinating archive of a late 18th century textile industrialist, and looking at the environmental implications through re-examining those early documents of capital-intensive textile production. So that will be April 26th. And throughout the conversation today, I encourage you to throw questions into the chat. Michelle is basically a millennial and can multitask. So she will answer those at the end or, as she wills it. And without further ado, I will turn it over to Michelle. Thank you so much, Michelle.
Thanks, Lena. So I'm gonna start by asking your patience. This is going to be a little bit different than some of the other curatorial shorts thus far, in that I am actually going to sit and show you the manuscripts in person. So there might be a minute or so while I switch the manuscripts that are on the screen, while I switch from this frontal camera to the camera that shows the manuscripts. And so I both apologize and appreciate your patience as I go through that. To begin, I just want to mention a couple of things. I will be touching these manuscripts with my hands. That is because that is actual conservational practice. It is best practice to deal with manuscripts on parchment and paper with clean hands. And so I'm just getting that out of the way in advance. I'm going to just talk about scrolls for a quick second. So I actually saw this morning, there was a video that came out via Business Insider showing the last remaining parchment maker in the United States, who's upstate in Albany. And he makes parchment mostly for high-end sort of luxury furniture and all sorts of other things. And my immediate thought was, well, and one of the things they talked about is that parchment is no longer really in use in a lot of ways. And my first perspective as a Jewish studies librarian, as a Jewish person who knows a bit about Jewish practice, was, well, of course, you need parchment. You need parchment for Torah scrolls. You need parchment for tefillin, those boxes that people pray with. You need boxes for mezuzot, the long boxes that go on the walls of a traditional Jewish home. And all of those sacred items are made with parchment. So the use of parchment in Judaism, at least, is part of the sacred part of sacred practice. It's part of ritual practice. It's still necessary today. So that was really timely in looking at these manuscripts that we'll be looking at today, most of which are actually on parchment, but are not biblical. They're neither Torah scrolls nor even scrolls from the prophets or from the other parts of the Hebrew Bible, but rather scrolls that for a particular community or individual had almost sacred importance on a local level. And so they were written on a scroll for an individual or community use. So I'm going to start by switching my camera, and we're going to look at two scrolls. One I'm not going to open because it's not in great condition, but I promise you that it's the same text as in this other scroll, which I will open. And the scroll we're looking at here is a text called Megillat Saragossa, or Saracusa. And this is a scroll that tells the story of a miracle that took place in the city of Saragossa either Saragossa in Spain or Syracuse on the Italian peninsula in the year 1420. There are some versions that read in the 14th century, but the document that we have here, which was written in the 16th century, talks about this event that occurred in 1420. And for those of you that read Hebrew, you'll see that it starts in a way that's very similar to a scroll that was just read a couple of weeks ago on Purim, the Book of Esther. Vayhi bimei hamelech Saragossanos. And so it was in the days of this king. And throughout the scroll, which I'm going to roll through as promised a bit, apologies for the somewhat crookedness of it. The text of the scroll throughout has phrases that sort of nod toward the Book of Esther. On this line, in this space here, you see toward the bottom at the beginning, after that empty space, it says Balayla hahu, on that night, Nadada Shinat Ephraim Baruch, the sleep of Ephraim Baruch was disturbed. And again, that's exactly taken from a phrase in the Book of Esther. So what was this story? The story was that in this town, wherever it may have been, either Spanish or Italian, the community used to bring out once a year. There are 33 Torah scrolls to show when the king would come to visit the community, and they would parade them in front of the king as a sign of respect, and the king would go on with his day, and that was sort of the interaction between the king and the Jewish community. And one year, it happened that the elders of the community said, these Torah scrolls are they're sacred. They're for, the King of Kings, God. And so we shouldn't be parading them in front of a mortal king. So what we're going to do, and this has to do with an understanding of how Torah scrolls would have been presented at that time, in elaborate, sometimes silver, sometimes wooden cases that could remain closed, and you did not see the text of the scroll itself unless it was opened. And they would parade these scrolls closed. So what the elders of the community decided was that they would take the actual scrolls out of the cases, and they would parade the empty cases before the king. And he would never be the wiser. They would feel better about respecting their Torah scrolls, and all would be well. Well, all was not well, because as the story goes, there was a certain gentleman in the community, outside of the community, who went to the king and he said, you should just know the Jews don't respect you. They're actually pretending, and they've taken the scrolls out of their cases in order to make a fool out of you. And the king, of course, was furious. And he decided that when he went to visit the Jewish community, he was going to ask them to open their scrolls. And if the scrolls were empty, he would kill everybody in the community, as the story is told. And so that sleep that was interrupted was the sleep of the shamash, so the beadle or the person who sort of ran the facilities of the synagogue, where Elijah the prophet came to him and said, you have to go and put the scrolls back into their cases. And so he did, but he didn't tell anyone. And the next day, sure enough, the king said, open the scrolls. And they opened the scrolls, and the manuscripts, the parchment was in the scrolls. So this was miraculous. The whole community had been terrified when the king gave the announcement to open the scroll, and but they were saved because of this miraculous vision that the Shamash had had. So this Megillah, like the Megillah, the Book of Esther, the Scroll of Esther, is read on what's called Purim Saragossa, which is primarily celebrated by communities in North Africa. So Tunisia had a very strong tradition in this way, and on the 18th day of the month of Shvat, of the Hebrew month of Shvat, was the day that they would take to celebrate this miraculous event. So in this case, you have a scroll that's being written after a biblical scroll, because this was a miraculous event that was similar to an event that happened. So just like Haman tried to destroy the Jews in the Book of Esther, here, the person in the story of Megillat Saragossa tried to destroy the Jews, and his plans failed. It was celebrated in Tunisia, Constantinople, Salonika, and other locations. It appeared in both French and Arabic translations. There's actually a translation known that is written in Arabic in Latin characters, which is quite interesting. And these two scrolls that we have here came to us from Professor Richard James Horatio Gottheil, who was the first professor of Semitic languages and rabbinic literature at Columbia, beginning in the 1890s. So that's our first set of scrolls. We then are going to move on to a personal scroll. I'm going to switch my camera once again. And we are going to look at I'm going to see part of it. This is called Megillat Eva. And this is an autobiographical scroll written actually, again, in a roll format, written by Rabbi Yom Tov Lippman Heller. Rabbi Yom Tov Lippman Heller lived during the 17th century. He was born in 1579, died in 1654. He was a student of the rabbi known as the Maharal, or Judah Loewy of Prague. And he writes the whole story of his life in this incredible scroll. The term Eva means hatred. And so he's writing this scroll about the events that happened to him because he was hated. And so you have this very dramatic, even title for the scroll itself.